Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Armor Gaming. Today I have a brand new video for you, by popular request, the Judgement. The Judgement is a savage beast that was born on the same planet as the Firestorm. The two hate each other, and now the Judgement has arrived on Monster Legends. They will meet again and the ultimate showdown could happen any minute. Alright, let's take a look at the Judgement's stats. He has a power of 3,542. That is the highest power of all the nature monsters. He has a life of 29,556. That's basically an average life of all the Monster Legends monsters. And his speed is 3,377. That's a slightly less than average speed when you consider all the monsters, but when it comes to just nature monsters, that ranks him in number 4. He's nature type, as I've mentioned before. That means his weakness is fire. Again, his arch nemesis being the Firestorm. His trait is immune to poison. Now personally, look at this guy. Alright. His adult form. This guy looks like he can be immune to stun, but for some reason Social Point decided him to make him immune to poison. I would have really liked him. He could have been a whole lot better if he was immune to stun, but I mean, just based on his stats alone, he is definitely the best nature attacker in the game. I'm not saying he's the best nature monster, because support monsters are generally tend to be better than attackers, but if you just need a pure attacker, especially for war, he is a must-have monster for whenever it's the nature element. Now we're going to scroll down and look at some of his moves. Alright, even though we don't normally pick skill group 1 moves, let's just take a quick look at them. So we have Savage Knuckles, Poison Bone Spikes, and Huge Shiver. Now just based on these monsters alone, check that out. 40 damage, 26 stamina, no cooldown. You can already tell his skill groups 2 and 3 are going to be insane. So I'm going to go ahead and just skip skill group 1 and go to 2 and 3. Now you can pick a combination of any of these 6 moves and you really can't go wrong with it. And that's another reason the Judgement is such a good monster. Not only does he have high power, he has strong attacks, and you have 6 to choose from that you can't go wrong with. So I'm going to break it down to you and let you know what I think of each individual move. And as you guys know, I have a level 1 to 100 video on him, so I will post a link in the description so you guys can take a look at that and you guys can see what moves I picked. I mean, I'll tell you guys in this video, but I'll just show you the different options to pick from. So let's start with Inhumane Knuckles. 50 damage, 28 stamina, 2-turn cooldown, deals heavy nature damage, heals 30% of life to itself. Okay, so I believe this move is really good because you get an immediate 30% healing, and that's the important part. It's an immediate 30%. You know, when you compare this to Barbaro's Knuckles, yeah, you may get generation for 3 turns, but that's not immediate, which means if you're ever in a position where your Judgement can die, you can use Inhumane Knuckles to attack a monster, deal some serious damage, and heal your life by 30% automatically. And that's a lot better than, I mean, generation is typically better because you get 20% over the course of 3 turns, but it's not immediate, which means you're still going to be vulnerable for 1 more turn. So when you want to choose between those 2 moves, you really can't go wrong with either. My Judgement has both those moves. This guy can kind of be a tank, except he doesn't have any shields, but he does have life regeneration, and he does have an immediate 30% life heal, which makes him pretty tanky. And to do that, the only times you would use Inhumane Knuckles or Barbaro's Knuckles is if you put at least one life rune on him, because again, his base life is 29,000, which is just slightly higher, greater than the average life of legendary monsters. So you really won't benefit much. You know, 30% of roughly 30,000 is what, like 9,000 off the top of my head. So it's not a huge recovery, but the more life you have, the more you can recover, the more life regeneration will heal you. So the only time you'll want to use either of these moves is if you put at least 1 life rune on him, and all I recommend is 1 life rune because you want to give him 2 strength runes to maximize his power. Next we'll take a look at Brutal Vibration. Now if you guys follow any of my videos, you guys know I love 0-turn cooldown moves just because they're anti-Timerion, which means, you know, when Timerion activates, cooldowns activated on you, you can still attack. It forces you or the AI to use the only move you can use. So imagine a Judgement with like 3 strength runes, and then the only move he can use is Brutal Vibration. He can basically one-hit kill most monsters that don't have life runes because he has a high power, and this is a pretty high attacking move. However, I didn't choose it on my Judgement because my Judgement is going to be specifically for war, and I decided I'd rather have, again, my Judgement has 1 life rune and 2 strength rune. However, you could also put all 3 strength rune. It's completely up to you, and for that reason I decided I wasn't going to use Brutal Vibrations. I really wanted to, but there was just no room. Again, this guy has 6 moves to choose from, so it's impossible to decide. But again, it's a really good move, just the fact that it does 55 damage, it's 30 stamina, and it has no cooldown. The third move from skill groups 2 is Infected Bone Spikes. Now this move is an AoE. It costs 33 stamina, deals 30 damage. The cool thing about this is that it does poison, and poison, as you know, it reduces power by, this is 20% here, but I believe it's actually 19%. I'm not sure, I have to double check on that. And for 4 turns, it reduces the monster's life by 10%. Now the reason I specifically chose this move is again because I'm going to be using my Judgement for war. I'm not really going to be using it for PvP. And in war, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but more and more monsters are starting to use life runes, and it's really about time. So because of that, it's really hard to do a one-hit kill with most monsters, even if they have 3 strength runes. So you gotta change your strategy and play more strategically, and that involves using more moves that like reduce their power, that way they can't hurt you. Because if you're running a monster with 3 strength runes, and they're running a monster with life runes, they can overpower you because you can't kill them in one hit anymore. So then they'll be able to attack you, and even though they don't have strength runes, they can still do some damage on you. So I decided to put Infected Bone Spikes. Moving down to skill groups 3, I already talked about a little about Barbaros Knuckles. 50 damage, 29 stamina, 2 turn cooldown, gives you regeneration for 3 turns. Pretty good move. Again, mostly recommended if you're gonna put at least 1 life rune on your Judgement. Otherwise, you can probably choose something else. Inhumane Knuckles would probably be more realistic. Again, if you put 3 strength runes, regeneration, it wouldn't help too much. Neither would Inhumane Knuckles, because 30%, what was that, a 9,000 life recovery, but that's probably better than Barbaros Knuckles, because again, you're going to be vulnerable for 1 turn. But again, that depends on the dynamics of your team. Maybe you have monsters that can stun and freeze, maybe you can saw, and in that case, maybe your regeneration will be a lot better. So a lot really depends on the context and the situation. So moving on to his really hard hitter, Crazy Earthquake. Deals very heavy special damage to the target, 65 damage, 30 stamina, 2 turn cooldown. This move is pretty straightforward, you know. It just deals special damage, heavy special damage, very heavy special damage. I think this is the one move that, regardless of what moves you pick, you should have Crazy Earthquake, because again, the Judgement, he has the highest power of all the nature monsters, so he's going to benefit the most from this move. This move is what, maybe with the right runes, maybe level 8, 9, or 10, he can probably one-hit certain monsters. So definitely use Crazy Earthquake and then a combination of the other 5. Then moving on to his final attack on skills group 3, Massive Bone Spikes. It's an AoE, 36 stamina, 4 turn cooldown, 45 attack. Now again, if you're putting 3 strength runes or even 2 strength runes, this is a really good move to have, just because, you know, with the right team again. My favorite monster I like to use as support is Lux. Lux's move Sylvanshine gives you twice damage, and it gives you precision, which means you can use your Massive Bone Spikes and your Infected Bone Spikes, and they're gonna deal double damage, and they're gonna have a better accuracy. Yeah, the cooldown is huge, but it doesn't really matter, because in most matches you don't want to rely on one move. You have like an arsenal of 4 moves to choose from, so it doesn't matter that the cooldown is so high. Most of the time you can do like Massive Bone Spikes, and then maybe Crazy Earthquake to finish off a monster, or maybe Inhumane Knuckles to finish off a monster and heal some of your life if you were attacked. Or, you know, there's different combinations you can use. So again, you really can't go wrong with any of these 6 moves, any combination, and you're gonna have an insane monster, a really good nature attacker to have during war. He could also be used for PvP, of course. If you didn't get him when he was on sale, I'm pretty sure he'll be on a sale in the future, so don't worry, just save up some gems if you know you really want him. In my opinion, he's a really good monster to have. If you ever get the chance to get him, make sure you do so. Some possible team combinations would just be any supporter that can freeze or stun the enemy team first, and then a monster such as Lord of Atlantis or Lux, you know, Blessed Water, give you precision, give you two times damage, and you're good to go. This monster is definitely a killer. He's definitely the best nature attacker monster out there. And that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed this analysis on the Judgement. Let me know who you want me to do next. I go by popularity. So yeah, just go ahead and comment below. Let me know what you thought about the video, and I'll see you guys next time.